Soraya, it's Jeff.
Hey.
So I'm a little stuffy and congested today.
Okay.
So
All right.
Who knows how I'll sound today. But I'm coming off of a week of a fever, which
Oy.
the worst was last Sunday night. So since then it's been mostly congestion and coughing. So I'm super annoying to all my family, friends, and coworkers and Vanpool mates. So let's see if I can annoy our listeners as well.
Well, Jeff, you've only been traveling back and forth for the past, I don't know, month and a half. So, yeah, it'll happen.
You want to know who's not annoying? Rain Parade live on stage.
Tell me about it.
Yes, so today we're going to be talking about them.
I think that's awesome. I'm ready, Freddie. Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff.
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme.
A podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, a grooviar.
Let's get groovy.
Okay, but we have some business first. So number one, right, is I, Soraya, need to make some corrections.
Okay.
So our previous episode, our episode number 30, was a review and walkthrough of the 3x4 event at the Grammy Museum in Los Angeles on May the 6th. 6th, right? Yeah, yes. May the 6th. And I made some mistakes and I want to correct them. And first I need to thank Matt Pucci, Derek C., and Paul Gaze for letting me know that I made some mistakes and correcting me. So I want to share those corrections. So first of all, on accompanying the Bangles on Talking in My Sleep was Matt Pucci. And in his own words, I was in the shadows. So he said my strategy of being in the shadows worked. But so I do need to correct myself that he did accompany them on guitar. And then also Mark Hanley was the 10th member of the Rain Parade Orchestra, and joined them on keyboards. And he is their keyboardist and joined them for When You Smile. So to Mark Hanley, to Matt Pucci, my sincerest apologies. Mea culpa, mea culpa. I promise to take better notes next time.
Your notes were great, I thought.
Except for the omissions. But again, thank you to Matt Pucci, Derek C., and Paul Gaze for helping correct me and get the record straight.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm so glad that we've got friends who reach out and let us know. I like that.
Yes.
When friends have confidence to speak openly and honestly.
Yes, and at the time you had never met Mark, but since then we've met Mark. So we met him at this performance. So now you know who he is.
Exactly. And I think due to my omission, Jeff, I think we at least owe him a drink. If not a meal.
Yes, agreed.
The next time they're in Los Angeles.
Agreed.
Pending. The other pending business we have, drumroll please, is to pick the winner
yes.
of our signed 3x4 CD.
Yes, I can't wait.
Okay, so this is how we're going to do it, folks. We did receive some submissions, and what Jeff and I wanted to make sure that we did is make it all nice and transparent, the process. So what we're going to use is a random name picker. So I've already put the names based on the order of the date in which they submitted. Okay?
Yes.
So Jeff, I'm gonna record video this portion. So I'm gonna share my screen with you. You gotta accept that.
Okay.
Ready, Freddie?
Let's see. I want to make sure you're on the up and up because I know you probably have a couple people on this list that you want.
That I would appreciate. Okay, so can you see this screen? It says online random name picker.
I can see it now. Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to record this. Start recording. Okay. So, as you noticed, Jeff, here are the names. Les Abramson, Neil Miller, Ronnie Barnett, Kim Kohler, and Greg Alderette. All right, you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So, then, here's the fun part. I just have to click pick. So, let's pick.
And the winner is it Greg? Is it Neil? Is it Ronnie? What?
Greg Alderette.
Congratulations, Greg.
Woohoo! So Greg Alderette is the proud winner of a 3x4 CD signed by members of Rain Parade.
Very cool.
Bravo.
Bravo, indeed. And Greg was the one who got in at the 11th hour of the contest. Like, just before it was closing, he sent in the final entry, which is interesting.
Well, we left it up to the fates of the online random name picker. So,
yes.
Folks, you can't win if you don't play.
Exactly.
So thanks to Greg Alderette, and thank you to Kim, Ronnie, Neil, and Les for their submissions as well. All right? Okay.
And should we share those stories later on?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, so let's add those in at the end of the podcast after we talk about Rain Parade.
I think that's perfect.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. We had some great stories.
Yes, we did.
All right. So now it's time to talk Rain Parade.
Finally.
So this was the first road trip that I don't know. We've done some local road trips, but certainly the longest road trip that we've done as a podcast.
Look, this was an overnighter. This is a road trip.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So you and I met up in San Francisco.
Yes, and your lovely wife, Chris, joined us.
Yes, so it was Friday, May 10th. You got there earlier than I did. I had to work that morning, so we took a later flight. Chris and I took a later flight than you did. But you had met up with some family. And
my oldest nephew lives in San Francisco. And so I had a chance to enjoy a beautiful sunny afternoon in San Francisco. It was raining in LA when I left, but it was a gorgeous day in San Francisco, and I had a great afternoon with my oldest nephew. And then you guys came in, and we went and had some bomb food and went to the chapel. Yeah,
you had scouted a restaurant, so we went to Brenda's French soul food restaurant, which was epic. Man, those beignets. So
Still
good.
Thinking about those,
And we had a tasty rum drink, too. So we were a little bit lubed up for Rain Parade, so to speak. But
we were in a good mood, man. We were already in a good mood.
We were. And then we called for a lift to take us from the restaurant to the chapel. And that Lyft driver, oh my gosh, he was great, right?
He was honestly the best. It was fantastic.
He was cracking us up. And it sounds like that guy's on a mission to get his family a place up in the Bay Area. So good on him. And he was hilarious. And he had us rolling
he was just really funny and really cool, and asked us what we were doing and why we were going to the chapel. And he was at Tino. That was his name, Tino.
Oh, yes.
And so, we were, as Jeff said, we were already, lubed up. And so Tino just had us laughing. And so, we were already giddy.
Yes, we were.
And we were just in a great place. So then we get to the chapel, go and get our tickets and our wristbands and, all that fun stuff. And we walk in, and who do we see, Jeff?
Matt Pucci.
Yes. Super nice, super cool, took photos, the whole shebang bang.
Yes. And we even got a little insight on what we can expect that evening.
Yeah. This was a really interesting night because this was a show headlined by the Flaming Groovies. But also opening for them were Art and Sons
yes.
and Rain Parade. So it was a real neat mix of bands and music and styles that I thought went pretty well together.
Yeah, I thought so too. So when we arrived, by the time we went into the club, we walked up to the front of the stage. Fortunately, there was
Which, wait, Jeff, before you continue, for anyone who is learning about Jeff through this podcast, I have known Jeff for a few years now. This is Jeff's normal place to be. He wants to be up front. He wants to hear all the music as if he were in the band, playing on stage. And so we've all learned that we just follow Jeff, because Jeff is going to give us the great vantage point, and especially in a place like the chapel where it was, GA standing room. So I just follow Jeff. Chris just follows Jeff, and we go straight to the front.
Yes.
And take our places.
Yes.
And it was really a beautiful place. But some of you may have seen some of the videos that we've shot. The beautiful vantage point was Dan Poppy's vantage point.
Yes.
And thank you to Dan Poppy for sharing all of his video with everyone.
Yes.
With everyone on YouTube and Facebook of the show, because he had a fantastic vantage point, and really you got to really see everything really well and hear it very well. But Jeff and I were up front, fangirling.
Yes, we were. And meanwhile, my wife Christina was just busting up laughing at us. She's like, "You guys are in a whole nother world, singing and dancing." She's like, "You guys look like you're on cloud nine." I'm like, "We are.
We were.
Yeah. So she's just shooting video of us, just admiring this band, right? It's just.
What did she say? She said Matt cracked a joke, and she said, "And the only people laughing were you two."
Yes.
I don't know. It was a great night. It was from start to finish.
It really was. So, a little bit more about the venue. You said that the general admission floor seating was the bottom floor, and then upstairs there was a little balcony area that had some seats up there where Dan was sitting at. And a few other people, and that looked pretty cool. It was set back a ways, like a lot of those venues are. Had some cool theater seating up there looking down upon the stage, so that was pretty cool. I had never been to the chapel before, so this was my first experience there. It was really cool. So when we got there, the Ardent Sons were playing, so it features the drummer of Flamin' Groovies, Tony Sales, and he's playing drums, and he's the lead singer. So he's up front, which you don't see a whole lot. The drummer being up front, being the front man, drumming and singing. It was really cool. And then Rain Parade comes up.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was really cool. We had a little bit of insider information when Matt told us that they would be playing Talking in My Sleep, which is the first time that this lineup had played Talking in My Sleep. So that's actually what they started with.
It was a really nice surprise, at least for me. I know, Jeff, you've seen them many more times than I have. Can you recall how many times you've probably heard Talking in My Sleep played live?
No, I was trying to think back. So I had only seen them 3 times in the 80s. And I wish I knew what the set lists were for those shows. But that was the Crashing Dream tour that I saw those 3 shows on. So I don't know if I've ever heard them play it, actually. I think this may very well be the first time I've heard the song live.
Because I seem to what I recall, he said, this is the first time we've ever played it. And I assumed it as first time the band has ever played it.
Yeah.
But I think we may need to follow up and double check with Matt and Steven.
Yeah, I actually looked up some of their live bootleg unofficial recordings, and I did see it listed in set lists in very early performances. So I think he was primarily referring to this lineup.
Yeah, this current lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that lineup.
Yes.
Okay.
So left to right on stage.
Sounds good.
Okay, so Derek C., who we've interviewed before, was house left or stage right, playing acoustic guitars, keyboard, percussion, backing vocals.
Yes.
It was cool to see him on stage, and he, like us, is a huge fan of Rain Parade.
Yeah. And I mean, I think in a post on Facebook reacting to some of the video, someone asked him a question about, how it felt being on stage. And he said, I was just laser focused on the music and kind of the moment. And you saw that. This was a guy who was really, sorry, I'm thinking in Spanish. Let me think of the word in English. I mean, he was just mind, body, spirit in this performance. It was like the joy in his face was really, really, really visible.
Yeah.
It was very nice. It was just really cool to see.
And I was thinking in the later part of the set, at points, he looked like he was, I mean, the guy is an excellent musician, right? I mean, I bet.
Amazing.
I bet he can play anything, anywhere, any instrument, it seems like. But at points in the show, he was looking over at the band, and he just looked like a fan, just like...
Exactly. This smile got on his face. And then, okay, so... Oh, and I do want to put a little parentheses. After the show, Matt Pucci said, "Hey Jeff, I almost called you up on stage to play with us too."
Oh,
that would have been awesome.
I don't know. I got instantly freaked when he said that, even though the performance was far over with. I was just like, oh my gosh. And on one hand, that would have been awesome, and on the other hand, I don't know. I can't play with the Rain Parade, but if they called out chords, I would have been in heaven. But yeah, that was cool when he said that.
Yeah, but one thing about this particular lineup, the synergy amongst them is really good.
Yes.
I mean, it's such a fluid rhythm and energy back and forth between all of them. It's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of these guys have been playing for years.
Yeah.
So who else was there? Not just Derek.
Stephen Roback.
Yes.
On bass and vocals, acoustic guitar, doing it all.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was in fine form, I thought. It was... He looked like he was having a blast on stage, too, which is really cool to see.
And that night, right before they took the stage, the Golden State Warriors had clinched. And so they were really... they were amped, and they kept going back to the idea of winning.
Yes.
And, okay, and then, so we've got Derek C., Stephen Roback.
And Matt Pucci.
So, on vocals and guitar.
Yes, yeah. And he was tearing it up.
Oh, my gosh. Look, all of them. You said Stephen Roback was in fine form. I mean, all of them were. And Matt Pucci was just off the chains.
Yes.
Off the rails.
Yeah.
And then on drums, Stefan Hunka.
Yes. Stefan.
Yes.
So it was great to see him. I was wondering, there are certain drum parts on Rain Parade songs that are really distinctive. I'm thinking of primarily Kaleidoscope. And I was wondering how he would sound playing that. We've seen him play before, but he was spot on. It was just cool to see him behind the kit.
Yeah.
And him and Steven were just like in lockstep with each other, and that was really cool. And then the three guys on guitar just like layering all these layers on top, and Mark's doing his thing on keyboard synthesizer. Soraya, this was such a great show.
This lineup is just so solid, and it was an amazing show. I mean, I think, Jeff, what time did we walk out of that place? Like around 12 or 12:30, something like that?
Yeah, it was early morning, Saturday morning.
And Jeff and I go back to where we were staying, and we just kept talking. Chris had fallen asleep, and Jeff and I are just like, and what about this, and what about that, and what about this, and what about that? Literally till about 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yep. Yeah.
And then I had to get up and go to
A
it.
couple hours later.
I had to come back. But Jeff and I couldn't stop talking about this show.
Yeah. We were so
Just in
excited.
the afterglow of it all. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so Derek C., Stephen Roback, Matt Bucci, Stefan Hunka, and then
John Thoman on guitar. Oh my gosh. We were right at his feet, right? And
yes,
as a guitar player, I'm always like mostly tied into guitar playing. I'm usually watching their picking hand and their chording hands. It was so great to watch John. John, look, he just gets transported to another world when that guy plays. He is off. He is off on a. I mean, he's killing it, but he just looks like he's someplace else. And being at his feet, watching him play was great. And I love the interplay between him and Matt. Some of their leads playing off each other. These guys have been friends forever. And it's almost like the thing when you hear like siblings sing together. They just have like a special bond.
right.
It's like a DNA thing. It's almost like that with these guys, with John and Matt playing guitar. But I loved being at his feet, watching him just wailing on the guitar. And some of the expressions that he made were just priceless.
He is reminiscent for me of Derek. These people who are just like mind, body, soul, and in this, and just like pushing the limits of where their instruments will take them. And one of the things that I find really interesting, and I saw it at the Grammy Museum. So this big pedal board comes out.
Oh yes.
And I go, man, these dudes are going to take me on a ride.
Yes.
And the thing about John Thoman is he just likes experimenting with the sound, and you just see him kind of going back and forth between different pedals, and it's just really, really cool to see. And when they get in a groove, man, the interplay between all of them is just really, it's really amazing to watch.
Yeah, and you had mentioned that pedal board on our 3x4 episode, so I was actually looking specifically for that on when we were up front at the stage, and when they brought that out, I'm like, yes, Soraya was talking about this. I see what she's talking about. This monster pedal board. And one thing about John, it's really funny because when he's playing, he has it. It looks almost random, like what he's doing. It looks more feel than technical, although he's a great technical player.
Okay.
And that his sound could almost be random, but he's very particular about the sound. So in between songs, he's getting the tone, everything sonically the way that he wants to get it, very precise before each song plays.
Right.
And a few times as Matt's introducing the songs, you see John over here just fiddling with his pedal board, fiddling with his amp, fiddling with his guitars, because I think he's very precise on the tone and sound that he wants to get for each song. And then when he's playing, it flips from that very precise to like almost frantic, just wailing, and it's a neat thing to see.
I like watching them play together, and I think I was having a talk with someone after this show, and they mentioned something to me like, sometimes when a band that you recall from seeing, years ago, when they get back together, you question sometimes whether the power and the intensity and the feel that you saw originally would be there. Without a doubt. I mean, not skipped a beat.
No.
And I think it's because they play so much together, especially on on different side projects too. So, there's this real interesting vibe and real synergy amongst them.
Yes. I mean, we have Boat Club, Helene's, Rain Parade, Matt's projects.
Yeah.
Viva Saturn. Yeah.
So hopefully, we reached out to Stephen Roback, and hopefully we can, get some some time to sit and talk about Viva Saturn. And for those of you who've, I'm hoping that most of you have, sat and listened to Viva Saturn. But if you haven't, you need to find that.
Yes.
Listen to it because
Yes.
it's really good, really, really good. Okay, so
rounding out
let's
the
finish
lineup.
the lineup. We haven't
Yes.
even gotten to the song. Okay, so Derek C., Steuben Roback, Matt Pucci, Stefan Hunka, John Thoman, and then
rounding out the lineup,
Mark Hanley.
the elusive Mark Hanley. Yes.
On keyboards and percussion.
Man, he was getting some great sounds. I think it's a synthesizer. I don't know if it's a synthesizer or a keyboard. It's a smaller version. It's not a full keyboard that he's playing, but man, he was getting some great sounds. Totally tying in with their feel.
100%. He was doing the same thing at the Grammy Museum performance too.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah.
So that was
this is a killer lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And they delivered. They delivered.
Yes. 4 people short of the Rain Parade Orchestra, but definitely filled that stage. Yeah.
Yes, but still powerful.
Yes.
Still powerful.
Oh, very powerful.
Okay, so let's walk through this set list then, just kind of in general.
Yes. So,
all right.
Opening song, Talking in My Sleep. Do you want to hear a little bit of it?
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you again to Dan Poppy for his video recording. I reached out to him and asked if we could use some samples from the video, so I pulled some of those together. He recorded all of them except for the second song on the set list, so Talking in My Sleep was the opening track. So cool to hear that song. Probably for the first time for me.
Yeah. I mean, it was really powerful. Yes. Very good.
Yes. And then next up, they did This Can't Be Today, which was great. So both of those songs are from their debut full-length album, Emergency Third Rail Power Trip. It was cool to hear those two. So those were the lead-off tracks off the album. It's cool that they were the lead-off tracks for the live 100%. Setting too. Yeah, yeah. So,
and then This Can't Be Today, I really enjoyed everything, but This Can't Be Today really, it was a new listen for me, hearing them play it live. And I liked it a lot.
Very cool.
Yeah. Okay, and then third in this set was You Are My Friend.
Yeah, so they played the entire Explosions in the Glass Palace EP.
Before the show, he when we saw Matt Pucci, he told us, he said, well, we're going to do a song we've never played live before. We're going to play the entirety of Explosions. And Jeff and I just kind of looked at each other.
Yes.
We said, wait, did we hear that? They're going to play the whole thing? Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did.
And then they were going to play at least one song by 3x4. And but it was, I thought, it was really interesting that they played everything from it, and man, just, you know, it'll kick you in your pants. It was so good.
Yes, yes. Let's hear a little bit of You Are My Friend.
Sounds good.
That could, oh my gosh, I was gonna say that could be my favorite Rain Parade song. It's so hard to say that though, but
I know, right?
I love that song, and it was so great to hear that live. The Explosions in the Glass Palace is such a great album. I've been on record as saying that Rain Parade is the one band in the Paisley Underground for me that did not write a bad song. So they could play anything in the set list and it would be amazing to me. But that EP is so good. This set list I thought was amazing. It was perfect. We'll talk about some of it later, but it was really cool to hear.
It was 11 songs.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, sometimes in a set list, you can have these kind of ebbs and flows and like these kind of down moments where you kind of lose interest. All 11, boom.
Yep.
You were engaged, locked in.
Yeah. And it was very dynamic, the set list. So after You Are My Friend, they go into Prisoners. Yeah. And so Steven takes lead vocals on this, and different tone.
Completely different.
Yeah. Let's hear a little bit of that.
Sounds good.
I love that slide part, Soraya.
Holy moly. This song, thank you for the reminder. The guitars on this song are just so,
Yeah.
like you feel it in your soul.
Yeah, and Steven's holding it down with that bass part. That's just
good God. Yeah.
And one thing that I did want to mention or call back to is when we were doing the 3x4 episode, Joy was talking about, and I don't remember the word that she used, that where the song you could visualize the song, and whether it be colors or whatnot.
Oh, it was a term Vicki Peterson used, synesthesia.
Synesthesia. This song, to me, like, I get it. Like,
yeah.
That's not something that I typically experience, but man, Rain Parade definitely, they can bring out a lot in their songs just by way of vibe. And man, this song is the epitome of that to me. It's so vibey and greatly placed within the set list. So they came out with, Talking in My Sleep, You're My Friend, This Can't Be Today, and then they bring it down, and it's just like, yes, like I might have had my eyes closed in a lot of this, and then I want to see these guys, and then like this is just such a cool vibe, and just taking me to another place. So I'm like battling with myself, opening my eyes, closing my eyes. Like, it was so great to hear this live.
It's there are some songs that just you want to enjoy the ride and you don't want it to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
And this live version of Prisoners for me was pretty much there. And then the song that followed it, I remember turning to you and just saying, that was sublime.
Mm-hmm.
And the next song in the set was Blue.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So, Matt...
that was a powerful song for me.
Yeah.
And just thinking about it, it gives me chills. It was really, really a powerful song to hear live.
Yeah, so switch back to Matt on lead vocals. And let's hear a clip.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, that was good.
That's cool. Yeah, I love that song. That was just great.
And then
Broken Horse.
Yeah, so Steven switches to acoustic guitar, and Derek jumps on the keyboard, a little bit of keyboard, and plays some percussion, some tambourine. And Steven takes vocals on this, and man, what a great performance this was.
Yeah.
I've got a clip of this.
Let's hear it.
question. Do you remember the part on Broken Horse where it kicks into the full band with the drums? Do you remember
Right.
Steven going back to Stefan? And they just hit that note together, and
Yep.
it was after that very subtle verse playing, and they kick into the full band. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
just the power just comes in.
And then it's like a rocket going off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, that was such a great moment.
Don't sleep on Stephen Roback. Folks.
No.
Don't sleep on him, because woof.
Yeah. But his voice, to me, like Matt Devine from Permanent Greenlight, I feel like a lot of emotion from his voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's really earthy. Mm-hmm.
So cool. So next up, oh man, Soraya, I'm in such a turmoil, like what my favorite Rain Parade song is. So next up, they do an hour and a half ago, and we have Derek on acoustic guitar, and Thoman jumps on acoustic guitar on this one,
Yeah.
and Matt's the only one doing electric guitar. Mark, of course, on the little keyboard synthesizer, Steven on bass, and Stefan in the back banging on drums. But man, this was so great live.
I'm totally in agreement. Because in my head, I was thinking, okay, I know it on the album. How different is it going to be like? Yeah, forget it. Yeah.
Let's hear a clip. So that one's so cool how they play with timing on that. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's Stefan Hunka. It's those drums, man. Like, because he'll take you on the ride.
Yeah.
Like, it starts building and taking it. I mean, ridiculous. And those guitars on that song.
Yeah. So like the whole set there's dynamic in the set. This song like has all those dynamics in that one song. Yeah. Yes, that's great. Up next was something I was really looking forward to after your guys' discussion on the 3x4 episode when they do When You Smile.
Yeah.
So they did the 3x4 song that they did for the Dream Syndicate cover. Man, it was great to see this.
What was classic about this is Matt Pucci tells the crowd, "We're missing a few of our members to play this song," and that was a reference to the Grammy show where they were like, it was the Rain Parade Orchestra.
Yeah.
But then again, he gave his little nod to the Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
He says, "We're gonna sing a little song written by Steve Wynn. Wynn, like the Golden State Warriors." And I was like, "Oh,
yeah.
He's gonna keep throwing it in there," and he did. But yeah, and this version, yes, it was minus 4 other players, but 4 other musicians. This is a brilliant song live. And they do it so much justice. Woof.
Yeah.
Please tell me you have a clip.
I do. Yes. Let's listen. Hey, that makes me smile.
Oh, that takes me on the psychedelic trip, dude.
Yeah, so on this one, Derek came up with his acoustic guitar next to Matt, and so they're doing those ooh together, like right next to each other, and you got John over there just doing his little riffing on guitar. This totally sounds like Rain Parade. Like this is
right.
This is a Rain Parade song,
right?
yeah. Even though it's a cover.
I don't know if you remember from the 3x4 episode, but Joy made mention of how "Tell Me When It's Over." It's hard for her to imagine the original version because she's kind of listening and now in her mind is the 3 O'Clocks version.
Right.
Similar. Yeah, this is absolutely a Rain Parade song, and it kind of gets into your system now that, yeah, this is their song. And I mean, they really made it their own, and all the arrangements they did on it, and live, it's really.
Yeah. I want to say that after seeing this, that I love the album version, but this live version...
Oh, forget it.
Yeah.
And wait till you see the Rain Parade Orchestra
yes.
version, the Rain Parade Philharmonic. That it'll blow your mind.
Yeah.
This is a song made to do live. And the way Derek C. and Matt Pucci work together, especially at that, in that beginning part, is just...
Yeah, that's really cool. And then there's a part later in the song, at least on the live version, where Derek came up to Matt, and he's adjusting his volume knob to make like a tremolo effect. So
Yeah.
it's like a wavy guitar sound, and Matt's playing it, and at the same time, Derek is manipulating the volume knob on Matt's guitar to make this effect. It was really cool to see live. Those two.
I loved that, and you know, because you talked about it earlier. In some of the in some of these songs, there's so much musical layering, sound layering, you know, and you wonder how do you replicate that? Well, yeah, you know, it's how they play off one another, and you know the assistants, and you still get that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Good God,
yeah,
that's a great song live.
Yes. And, so up next,
yes,
John jumps onto Matt's quote-unquote cheap 12-string guitar. That's what Matt calls it.
Hard to say that after what we saw him do with it.
Yeah, I know. I almost sat on it when we were backstage later. Matt's like, watch out for the cheap guitar. And I was like, but anyway, so John jumps on the 12-string guitar. Matt's introducing the song, What She's Done to Your Mind. And he says, feel free to sing along, smoke 'em if you got 'em. And yes, it's about Sue Hoffs. So What She's Done to Your Mind. Let's hear it.
Feel free to sing along. Smoke if you got it. And yes, it is about Sue Hoffs.
Let you down.
Ooh. After the show, Jeff and I, you know, we were talking like giddy schoolgirls after the show, and we said, that makes you want to go back to the lyrics and hear it about 1,000 times.
Yeah,
more.
I know.
And it's a new listen. Yeah, but man, that's so good.
Yeah, so
and, that twangy 60s bird-esque guitars I just love on this song.
Oh my gosh, that guitar is so cool to listen to. I think this is probably one of the songs where he's at the highest part of his registry singing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that guitar is so jangly and I mean, definitely the most bird sounding that they get. For
100%, yeah.
And you know what's interesting, I thought, primarily before the show, but they even talk a little bit about it from the stage. The song was on Emergency Third Rail, Power Trip, but it was also on their very first single, and this was the A-side. The single came out in 1982 on Llama Records. This was the A-side, and they introduced it as the song from the single, and Matt said that as well. When he was talking about the set list, before the show, he did tell us that they're going to play the single. yeah, so it was cool that it was introduced as from the single, even though it was they did a version on the debut album. And
Right.
speaking of the single, they also did after What She's Done to Your Mind, we flipped to side B.
Yeah.
And
And this was a song this was a nice surprise for me.
yes.
Kaleidoscope.
Oh my gosh. And Stefan Hunke, yeah, I was focused in on him on this song because the drums on this, I just love. I got a clip.
Yeah.
Such a great song, Soraya.
Yeah.
That one. So
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say these last two songs are probably their most psychedelic songs that they did.
You just took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, yeah. And with a name like Kaleidoscope, right?
Yeah. Well, you just kind of know it, but you're right. Stefan Hunke's his drums on this are, they're hypnotic.
Yeah, I was in a band in the 80s, and my drummer kind of ripped off this drum beat on one of our songs. I was in a band called White Glove Test, and we had a song called Worshipping Boys, and our drummer goes, "That is such a great drum beat. I'm gonna borrow it." So, yeah, so he played with it a little bit, but it was very similar. So yeah, I always loved the drums on this. And then what else could they end with?
Well, first of all, then they go, okay, last song. Jeff and I are already crying, but they end it with No Easy Way Down.
Yes, talk about psychedelic.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah, so Derek jumps on keyboards and maracas. The maracas kind of help drive the song along, and Matt and John on guitars, like, what? Yeah, so Matt's doing that tremolo-y, kind of wavy guitar part, and the two of them are just going off by the end of the song. And this song live, forget about it, man. This is like the greatest way to end a concert.
Yeah, I agree. You almost want to light a match to the stage and just burn it after, because...
I mean, they did that musically.
Totally.
Let's hear a clip.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, say the word, thanks for coming up, and I word and such.
So to me, No Easy Way Down is like the exclamation point.
I'd agree with you.
Yeah. So they didn't do an encore. I don't think they needed one after this.
No, that was, to me, that was the best way to end their set. And it just hearing it, I'm like, keep going, keep going.
Yes,
keep
I know.
going.
I'm like that with all the clips. Like, I don't want to cut any of them off. I just want to hear the whole thing. I want to go back and see that whole show again.
Shoot, yeah, quick, somebody give us a time travel machine.
Yeah.
The guitars on this song are just, like, I just can't get enough of it. And the back and forthing between the interplay between Matt and John is just, it's so intense.
Yeah.
It's like they're egging each other on, like they're trying to one up each other.
Yeah, and it just gets more and more intense.
Yeah, like more power, more sound, louder.
Yeah. But man, overall, what a great show. Soraya, do you have a favorite song that they played? Or a favorite version, I should say?
Dude, I feel this is like a Sophie's Choice.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I really liked, Blue kind of was something completely, new to me, hearing it live. But I will say, No Easy Way Down. I left with that vibe and those notes just kind of resonating in my head. And when I had to come back on Saturday morning, I had to go teach. Yeah, real jobs. Um, that was a song that I had playing over and over and over. Like I just couldn't get it out of my system.
Yeah.
And I kept listening to it and listening to it. As I was waiting for the plane, as I, driving to work, I just couldn't get it out of my system. Yeah. So maybe No Easy Way Down.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's so hard. It's so hard. When I look at the set list, I can easily pick any one of these 11. I will say, though, I was most looking forward to hearing Talking in My Sleep and When You Smile.
Okay.
I'm definitely not disappointed at all. But I really, really love that 12-string, and hearing What She's Done to Your Mind was so good. But No Easy Way Down can't be beat. I mean, that, just the psychedelic feel of that, the guitars, I mean, so good. But, I mean, I easily could have also said This Can't Be Today, You Are My Friend, Prisoners, Blue, Broken Horse.
Thank you. Broken Horse, hour and a half ago.
Broken Horse is so subtle and beautiful live, too. I mean, on record, too, but... Oh, man. This show was so good. So then they give thanks, and our heroes leave the stage.
And I will say, at some point during the set, and I'm trying to remember where exactly it was, Jeff and I got a shout out. I met Peachy. He started like pointing to people he knew. He'd say, "Oh, hey man," and Jeff and Soraya, and we both looked at each other. I think it was like the Beatles reaching out.
I turned back at Chris, and she has that smack my head look on her face. you too. Well, they're so good, and she's like, I know they are, but you guys are like in another world. Man, that was totally worth the 500 miles or whatever we traveled,
dude. But let me tell you, our trip, our road trip, pales in comparison to Neil Miller.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. So speaking of that,
I need to add this right here. Okay, so Jeff and I, we were so excited to do this road trip and go up. But there's a guy that submitted a story, and he he flipped on a dime within hours. He decided to take a plane he lives in northern Ohio.
Wait. So this is a good transition. Do you want to just read his entry?
Sure, let me read it.
Okay.
So Neil Miller, man, you're our kind of
yes,
dude.
Yes.
We want to hang out with you.
Yes.
Okay, so Neil Miller submitted this to our contest, and I have to read it. I have countless fond memories of seeing the Dream Syndicate from coast to coast, but I've never seen the Rain Parade. This past weekend, I was faced with a dilemma. Do I head to the East Coast to see Dream Syndicate in D.C. on Friday and suburban Philadelphia on Saturday, as I had been planning? Or do I fly to San Francisco to see the Rain Parade open for the Flamin' Groovies with Roy Loney on Friday, with nothing too special happening on Saturday in San Francisco? A co-worker had suggested flying to Philadelphia after the Rain Parade gig.
Oh my gosh.
And catching one of the Dream Syndicate gigs. Why not? Took Friday off, left home in Northwest Ohio, flew to San Fran, caught the Rain Parade, caught a few hours of sleep, flew to Philly for Dream Syndicate, home on Sunday, work on Monday. One weekend, 2 Paisley Underground gigs on 2 coasts.
Yes.
You're my hero. That's our kind of guy.
I bow to you, Neil Miller. I bow to you.
He only did the 400x miles, but hats off, man.
Yeah.
Salute.
Yes, that was great. That was great. And it sounds like he wasn't disappointed at all in either show.
Not at all. Anyone who was at that show and went there perhaps only to see Rain Parade was not disappointed. And if they were there to see Flamin' Groovies, and maybe this was their first time seeing Rain Parade, I don't think they were disappointed either.
No, everybody was rocking out.
It was really, really good show. They're fantastic live. Yeah. Jeff and I had an opportunity to sit and chat a little bit after their set um, with some of the guys from Rain Parade, Matt Pucci, John Thoman, Stephen Roback, and for a split second, Derek C. And Mark Hanley. But Jeff, what do you say about sitting and chatting with them?
It was kind of two things that come to mind. It was like it was all surreal to me because I mean, I've been listening to these guys for so long, and like I said, they don't write bad songs, and I'm just obsessed with music. It was so cool just to hang out with them. Another thing, it brought me back to that time when I had spent a little bit of time with them. Real similar. It was upstairs in a little small backstage area at the Coach House that we've talked about on another show. So it was very, very similar to that, like almost like a deja vu. But 35 years later? So I kept thinking about that. I'm like, wow, this was like that time, and that moment was always like, I will never forget that. It's a highlight of my concert going experiences, and to be able to replicate that now, it was equally as exciting as it was then. It was just so cool. One of the things when we were talking to the band, I had asked or noted that there was no songs from Crashing Dream, and one of the things that they said was that they had actually rehearsed one or two songs that they were considering putting into the set list, but ended up not putting them in there. It sounded like they didn't work out too much. Do you remember if they had mentioned what that song or two was? I don't remember.
No, I don't.
No, but I just remember them saying that they were actually considering doing a song or two from Crashing Dream. But I have absolutely no complaints about the set list.
Oh, no, none at all. One of the things that I thought was really kind, that, I was sitting down with Stephen Roback, just kind of chewing the fat. I mean, I was like, wait, at one point, like, I had this outer body experience, like that thought bubble that appears over your head in cartoons. And like, is this really happening? Am I sitting and just chit-chatting with Stephen Roback? But he was really nice. He said, I'm really glad that you both decided to take a look at Crashing Dream. And he said, it helped me go back and kind of walk through it and appreciate it differently. And I'm like, wow, but that's such a good album. But
it is.
Amen. And I'm even glad that they were considering putting it in this set.
Yeah.
So, maybe in the future, one of the things that Matt Pucci said while we were chatting, he said, because I think Jeff or it was probably Jeff. He said, okay, so what's next? And Matt Pucci said, well, Stephen and I got to finish writing some things. And Jeff and I just kind of, our ears perked up and we looked at one another. And so maybe we'll be getting some new material soon. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they've both alluded to it when we've spoken with them the couple of times that we've had to speak with them. But I will say that on one of the postings of the video, the show by Dan Poppy, and again, thank you, Dan Poppy, for sharing the video with everyone and especially with us for this episode. On one of the comments, Stephen Roback said, we may be down in Los Angeles at some point later this year. And so he made that comment, but I definitely kind of made a note of it. So who knows, folks? Maybe.
Let's hope so. Let's hope
that something's in the works, because this lineup is just too good, and to not see live again. And I think Jeff and I have already proven that we will go anywhere.
Yes.
We'll go anywhere.
Yes.
So we're ready. Tell us when the next stop is. We will be there.
We will.
And I do need to share that thanks again to John Thoman, Matt Pucci, and Stephen Roback for signing the copy of 3x4.
Yes.
That we had to for the giveaway. We brought quite a few things for them to sign. At one point, Jeff's stack was noticeable. I mean, I brought just a couple of things, and Jeff had this stack upon stack upon stack. And at one point, Matt Pucci just looks at the stack and he says, "Jeff, you are sick, man." Because he had like versions upon versions of the same album, but it was really nice that they were very generous with their time and they signed all the things that we had. So yeah. I just want to thank them all for that too. It was very, very kind.
Yes, indeed. Thank you all.
Yes. And for extending the invite, one little comment, and Jeff and I took it and ran with it. Yes, by Matt Pucci is, "If you guys get up here, I'll get you the ticket."
Nice.
And we said, "Done and done."
Booked
and sold.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but it was really nice.
Speaking of that signed cover,
yes,
we did read the entry by Neil. Let's read the other 4 entries.
Well, we received a total of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so should we go through them?
Yes.
Okay.
So you've already read Neil's.
We read Neil's. Why don't you read Les's?
Okay. So this was from Les Abramson, and he says...
This was on our Facebook page.
Yeah. And it was I love this, and I've shared this with my wife, Chris, and well, let me read it first.
Okay.
So, Les says, "I moved to California from Minneapolis in 1985 and hated it. One of the only girls who would talk to me was in love with Michael Quercio, so I checked it out to impress her. Probably 3 o'clock, right? Or Salvation Army. That's it. Kind of a lame story." I love this. It's brief, but man, to me it says a lot. And I shared it with my wife, and I was real curious what she would think, not being diehard as we are. Right. She's like, "Oh my gosh, that's such a cute story," and I was like, "It is. I mean, it says a lot. Like, this guy. He's in this situation away from home, probably disoriented. What have you when you move to a different state, or a different place. But there's this girl that likes this band, and he's into this girl, so he's willing to listen to this band with hopes of maybe hooking up with this girl." And Chris is like, "I want to know the end of this story. Like, what happened? Are they married? Did it not work out?" But I love it. It's a great introduction to what can be a bigger story, but.
Totally.
It's short, but I loved that entry.
Les, we need to know the follow-up. What happened with the girl?
Yeah, what happened with
Did it win her over?
Yes, yeah. But that was his introduction. All it took was...
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
It was a great story.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
All right, and then we also got one from Ronnie Barnett. Yes, that Ronnie Barnett of the Muffs.
Yes.
Okay, and his entry that was emailed in, and so this is what it says. "Right place, right time. I'll try to keep this short, but you're missing out on some great details." Okay, we need to have Ronnie on to fill this in, but anyway.
Yeah, you know what that means.
Yes, guess spot. Sometime in early October 1982, I went with my 2 slightly older mentoree friends to see the Psychedelic Furs at the Tower Theater in my hometown of Houston in support of their just-released 3rd album, Forever Now. We got there on time as there was no advertised opener. The lights went down and the words, "From Los Angeles, the Dream Syndicate," were announced, or something similar. It was a long time ago. And a guy with long hair and possibly a vest came on stage alone and proceeded to screech through 10 minutes of feedback.
Yes.
In retrospect, it was probably more like 3 minutes, but it seemed an eternity at the time.
I love it.
The rest of the band finally followed, and they blew through a loud 30-minute set that had the effect of angering some and intriguing others. I was somewhere in between, even as my companions were firmly in the latter. As they discussed them in harsh tones afterwards, I stayed silent. An impression amongst all was definitely made.
Yes.
A month or so later, Days of Wine and Roses was released on Ruby / a label I trusted, and I bought it on sight. much to the somewhat amused astonishment of my pals. I fell in love with it immediately, as did my skeptical companions after I finally convinced them to listen. It rendered them speechless. We've all been major fans ever since.
Yes.
Ronnie.
Yes.
I love Ronnie Barnett.
Yes. Oh, me too. Me too. I got a man crush on
He's
this guy.
awesome.
But this man, this is a great story, and what an introduction to the band. Like, not even knowing that there was going to be an opening act, and coming into this minute upon minute of just wailing feedback. Yeah, we've experienced that introduction at Dream Syndicate show before.
But we can all imagine it, right?
Yeah.
Dream Syndicate, you can imagine feedback and, yeah.
So that had to have been Carl Prakoda.
100%. Yeah. If it wasn't, I'd be surprised.
Right. Great story. Thanks, Ronnie. I love that. And Soraya, I've already reached out to Ronnie, so it may happen soon. So,
bravo.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes.
We can talk about Kiss.
You know what's going to be hard about if we bring Ronnie on? Like, that could be...
Like, what not to talk about?
Yeah, that could be like a 24-hour episode.
Oh my gosh. I think we need to have like just a recurring, monthly episode.
Yes. Yeah.
Today with Ronnie.
Yeah.
What's the topic, Ronnie? Because, he's just an accomplished musician himself.
Mm-hmm.
So there's enough with his own repertoire, and then he knows so much about so many other things.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so many great stories.
Ay, Dios mío. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot there.
Okay, so
anywho,
another
and
entry.
then the next one was from
Kimberly Kohler.
Yes.
So Kim has been listening to our show, and she's been sending or providing feedback to us on the show, and Kim is awesome. So she is not super familiar with the Paisley Underground prior to listening to our show, but she did have an experience, and this was her entry. She says, "My older cousins introduced me to the Bangles when I was a lot younger. I think I have a dubbed cassette tape where the Bangles on one side and Samantha Fox on the other side. They also introduced me to Night Ranger and Madonna.
Yes.
Before then, I had only listened to country because that's what my mom listened to. Love your show, Kimberly Kohler." Yeah. So
she's a convert.
Yes. Yeah. So great story too. And
very good. And thanks for your entry, Kim.
Yes. And now,
all right. And then we get to thanks to the random name generator, the winner chicken dinner of our signed 3x4 CD, Greg Aldred.
Yay, Greg.
So Greg currently lives in Austin, Texas, and he has his own band, Bridie Murphy. But here's his entry. Hello, my friends. So here's my story. It began while my older cousin took me to an Oingo Boingo show at the Palace in Hollywood. I was 12 years old at the time. While we were entering the club, I noticed the photo/flyer that was displayed in the front window marquee of the 3 o'clock and their upcoming show. I had learned of the 3 o'clock from my mom's cool hairdresser who played for me the Baroque Hoedown EP. That's a cool hairdresser.
Yes.
And I was instantly hooked. So I totally freaked out when I saw they were playing at the Palace. Come to think of it, the 3 o'clock was the first concert that I myself chose to go to.
Ooh.
I made my mom take me to that 3 o'clock show, and we both had a great time. I remember getting up to the front. The crowd was pretty cool about letting a kid up there. Clove cigarettes were in the air, and intro music was all 60s stuff. Man, it was cool. I was on Lewis's side right up front and rocked out to every song. The crowd got a little crazy while they played, and next thing I knew, Lewis pulled me up on stage. Dang, it was surreal. I continued to rock out and dance while they played Jet Fighter. A bouncer came to get me off stage, but the guys waved him away and let me stay up there with them. I eventually got off stage before the next song. I didn't want to leave. The next day, I wrote a fan letter to the guys at the Paint Box. Some of you may remember.
Yes.
Which was their fan club P.O. box. Weeks later, I received a letter from Lewis along with some stickers and buttons. Lewis wrote that he was so surprised to see someone so young was into music and that the band talked about me during their next rehearsal. Man, I was stoked. The
Yes.
best part of the letter was when he asked me to be in their video for Jet Fighter. I, I was a small part, but was so much fun at the filming. I actually met Susanna Hoffs at the video shoot who was waiting for her scene to be filmed. She told me about her band, the Bangles, and invited me to their next concert. Of course I went
Of
and made my
course.
mom take me. That show was so much fun. From then on, I don't think I ever missed a show. Mom and I would always get backstage by telling bouncers I was Michael's little brother or something. LOL. We always had a great time and met some great people. I remember how much of a family all the bands were to each other. It was really a special time for me. The life-changing moment for me was when Lewis convinced me to get a guitar and start playing. Wow, you can imagine your idol telling you that you should play. So cool. Later that week, Mom bought me my first guitar, and I've been playing, singing, and songwriting till this day. My band, Bridie Murphy, wouldn't even be if it wasn't for Lewis, the 3 o'clock, and the entire Paisley Underground.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
That was a great story.
can you
There's
imagine
lot
being
in
a
there.
12-year? I was at that Palace show.
Really?
I wasn't 12, but can you imagine
Wow.
being a 12-year-old and being, and somebody just, reaching down, pulling you up on stage, letting you dance and go have fun?
That is so cool.
That's just too cool. And
Yeah.
Greg's a really good dude.
Yeah. And he's got some really good stories. I've actually talked to him about some of his Paisley Underground stories, and he's got enough to probably fill a show, Soraya. And
All right, so I think we need to talk to Greg Alderette on one of our shows too.
yeah, not all of the stories are appropriate, probably for public consumption.
So we need to have a Paisley Stage After Dark
Yeah.
sort of episode.
I mean,
with a warning sticker, an NC-17 sticker.
yeah, I think his young eyes were kind of surprised at what he came across backstage a couple times. So, but
Rock and roll, baby, rock and roll.
debauchery. Yeah. So, anyways, that was a great story, Greg. Thanks. All of these stories were great. And you know what? One thing I just realized, Soraya. So in this story, Greg's introduction to the Paisley Underground was the 3 o'clock. Kim's introduction was the Bangles. Ronnie's introduction was Dream Syndicate. And Neil shared a story about flying across the country to see Rain Parade. So, and then Les, his introduction was through a girl, was, Michael Quercio's band. So with these stories, like each band impacted these different people to listen to this movement, this scene.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of cool that across the board the bands were mentioned within these stories, and all great stories. Thank you to everybody who sent in an entry. Congratulations to Greg for being the random winner. And Soraya will be sending his package out soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll need Greg to let us know where he wants us to send that, and we'll be sending that soon. And if any of these bands come live anywhere near you, I highly recommend you get a ticket and go see them.
So, yeah, right now, Dream Syndicate is, they're still on tour. Long Riders just announced a North America tour. So, and they just wrapped up a mini European tour. And I think Dream Syndicate is heading back out to Europe. Now, don't quote me on that. I got to go look at their tour dates, but I know they're still playing some dates here in the U.S. Folks, good music's out there, and these bands are playing. Go. Get thee to a show.
Yes.
And this weekend in Los Angeles, May the 26th, one of Michael Curcio's bands, post 3 o'clock, Permanent Greenlight, is going to be playing at the Redwood. Go to that show. If you're listening to us, get thee to the show.
We'll be there.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Up front.
Yes, for sure.
Dancing away.
All right. Well,
Woo.
I think that's enough for this episode. Hopefully, our next episode.
Never enough when we're talking about Rain Parade. Never enough.
Not for us.
No.
So our next.
It was a great show. Thanks again to the Rain Parade for just giving us an amazing show that day.
Yes.
Can't wait for more.
Yes. And our next episode may be Joe Nolte from The Last. We've been talking to about doing that. And so if not our next episode, that'll be coming up shortly. And we have a few other ideas that we'll be sharing before long.
We got some more surprises for y'all.
We do. And,
stay tuned.
And possible future contests. More contests.
Oh, absolutely. There's always got to be something fun.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Fun to give away. But again, and lastly, this is our show number 31, and none of this would be possible without all of you amazing listeners. Thank you for your support, and thank you for pushing us to the next 30.
Yes.
So,
thank you, everybody.
Gente, a groovear.
Groove on, Paisley people.
Later.
Smoke them if you got them.
This is about Sue off.
You, sir. Are you all right, sir?
Fine. How have you been?
Fine, sir.
Good.
It's a good thing you were wearing that helmet.
Yeah.
What shall we do now, sir?
Well, are we stopped?
We're stopped, sir.
Good. Well, why don't we take a 5-minute break?
Very good, sir.
Smoke if you got 'em.
Something's changing the bright spotlight.
Smoke if you got 'em.